is me again, and we are here for another edition of A Little Perspective. Today I am talking to Dr. Shelia Rivers. Dr. Rivers is a local psychologist and owns her own group, and I have personal experience with her group and absolutely love them. I have networked with Dr. Rivers before, and she is just an incredible woman. She has quite the story, and I thought that she would be wonderful to come on and talk a little bit about how she went from being a high school dropout to a doctor, and just to inspire and motivate some of us. It's quite the overcoming, and thank you so much for joining me and being here. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Angie. Again, I'm Dr. Rivers now, and I do own Rivers Psychotherapy Service mental health clinic. We have 2, 3 clinicians that work at our clinic, 4 total, 4 with myself. Great support staff that is working with us. Personally, I'm the mom of 5, and right now I think I have 7 grandkids. So I'm a Gigi also. 2 of those, we have 2 new babies this year, Alina and Jackson. So no, last year, 2020, we had 2 new grandbabies. And I'm just kind of staying busy with teaching at Tulane. I'm a professor also at Tulane, and I do teach master level students in the social work department. I'm just staying kind of busy with work and school and my students. I'm supervising a couple of social work students right now. I've been traveling a little bit more. So newfound dating relationship. I took time to finally date a little bit. So it's been okay.
That's exciting. I love how casually you say, just stay busy. Like, you are running an office. You are a therapist yourself with your own set of clients. You
Right.
are teaching at a prestigious university. You have, social work interns or what have you
Mhm.
underneath you. You have 5 kids and 7 grandbabies.
Yep.
Just staying busy.
Yeah. Yeah. I love to personally, I guess, I love to cook. So I'm able, like, because I'm not in school anymore, because I recently just graduated from Tulane in May with my doctorate degree. And we can talk more about that if you want, but recently graduated May, doctorate degree. And so I've been on this steady path of school, work, almost like a tunnel vision focus. I'm kind of like a pit bull. When I set a goal for myself, like I will run over you to make sure everything in my path is like if I said I'm going to do it, it's going to be done.
Do it, yeah.
So that's kind of my daddy always would tell me. He's like, you don't let the grass grow green underneath your feet, girl. I was like, yeah, you're right, Daddy. I don't. So it's kind of been my whole thing, like setting goals, reaching them, setting goals, reaching them, setting goals, reaching them. And right now, I don't really have like anything that I'm working on right now, really. Not like goal wise, other than the business being productive, developing new social workers that are coming up. I just made the Board of Commerce. I'm on the Board of Commerce till 2022. Yeah, so the Mississippi Gulf Coast Chamber, I just got elected to their board until, I guess, the end of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So So those are the type of things that I'm kind of working on now. Community, we've got some community projects that we're working on through the office. And I've got some of my own personal community projects I'm working on. I'm trying to be a little bit more involved with Tulane University and doing more things with them. So
yeah, just staying busy.
but I love it. I love it. I've been and so I started with what I started to say was I've been on this path of setting goals, reaching them, setting goals, reaching them, setting goals, reaching them for a good streak of about 12 years now. So being in school steady, I think I've taken 1 year off from being in school over a period of like 12 years. But I've constantly been a student. I've been a student. At some point I was, carrying full loads, 15 to 18 hours, trying to finish up education wise stuff. So like this is really new. I don't know what to do with my life because I'm not in school anymore. I'm still buying reading material. And so teaching is another way still that I'm still in school. I'm still learning. I'm still, constantly, there's always something constantly that you're always learning. So I'm really excited about that. You had mentioned like I was a high school dropout when I had my kids, young mom. I dropped out of high school and got my GED. And so got married, moved away. And so education became like one of the things like I felt like I had to have that as a Black woman, one, to succeed. I also like I had to work harder to be, to even just be somewhat in that equal. And then being a high school dropout, a mom, and I felt like I was always behind the curve because now I've got kids on top of trying to have a career and pursue education. So, first degree took me 10 years to get. I don't know if you know that or not, though. My first degree took me 10 years to get. My bachelor's degree, 10 years. I was taking classes at night, nights, weekends. I'd skip a semester, maybe. I'd go back. I'd flunk out a semester. I'd go back and take those classes over again. So that degree was in education and psychology. The second degree was master's in social work. Third degree was master's in social work. Master's in public health, executive administration, and the fourth one here recently was the doctorate in Tulane. So I've done this over a 12-year span, and so for you to say like, well, and so now it is just kind of like,
compared to what? So it's all a matter of perspective, right? So you're busy, or you're busy as someone else's impossible, whereas you're not someone else's busy. That's why I love these kind of conversations, because there's no such thing as impossible. There's
no.
Yeah. And so to see that,
well, you know this.
Yeah.
You know this.
Yeah. And just to see that so was there a turning point where you decided like, okay, I've got to get back into the education, I've got to make this commitment, or was that kind of just something that you had already always planned? It was just a matter of finding the time to get into it.
No. I'll tell you, the push was the education. I divorced my and I don't know if this is an adult show, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So when I divorced my I was leaving my ex-husband, I was walking out the door, and that was I'm not going to get into that relationship, but that was a pretty the last 5 years of that was pretty toxic. And I decided to leave. So as I'm walking out the door, and it still shakes me sometimes. It doesn't shake me as much as it used to. But his comment to me, and he was at this time, I still did not have a degree. And all I had was like a high school GED. Like I'd taken some classes, but not graduated like from high school. Graduated from college. So as I'm walking out the door, remembering like he's a college graduate. He made 6 figures. Like he was pretty prestigious job. He says, you'll never be shit without me anyway. So it's still like, even when I say it out loud, like I still feel it in my gut.
Yeah.
You know, I still feel that. I still feel it in my gut. Like, it's like, whoo, okay, all right, got it. And like those words just kept ruminating in my mind over and over and over again. Like, you're not gonna, he's right. He's right. You know what? He's right. I'm not gonna be anything. I'm a failure. You know, I'm a failure at marriage. I'm a failure at a mom. You know, like all of these things. Like I was constantly um, that negative self-talk was like a constant for me. So I got mad. I was so mad at myself. I'm like, I was so angry, and I stay angry for a very long time. And so what I learned about anger is anger promotes change. You're going to do something. When something hurts you or you're angry, like you're going to move one way or the other. You know, it's going to be, you're not going to stay in it because it feels so uncomfortable. And if it does, then you become so toxic. Then you, like everything you touch and people around you, you just spew venom on them. And that's not the person I wanted to be. That wasn't the person I was. So I didn't want to be that person anymore. I didn't want to be angry. I didn't want my chest hurting. I didn't I didn't want the headaches, and like I was having a lot of physical symptoms like stress and like not knowing how to be in a healthy relationship. And and so that was like kind of one of my pivotal points to where I said, you know what, I gotta make some changes. I started seeing a therapist. I started running.
Yeah.
I ran my first 10K. Oh my God, this was 2002, 3 maybe. Like, yeah, I did the Azalea Trail run. I wasn't very good, but I finished.
Yeah.
I finished that, but that was one of my things. Like, I started exercising. I started like doing mindfulness and yoga and meditation and just educating myself, like what does a healthy relationship look like? Codependency No More, like was one of those like core shaking books that I read. A Table for Two was like one of those core shaking books I read. So just kind of that's where I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to school. The second turning point was I had a job and applied for the job. I knew the job was up for promotion, was a single parent. This would have just been like, you know, I'm thinking in my mind, this would have been really great for me to get this position. It paid more than what I was working and doing. Interview for the job, like was sure that I had the job. They hired somebody from the outside. And I called them back and I was like, okay, so if I'm working for this organization, why did I not get the job?
Yeah.
And the guy looked me in my face. He says, well, you're just not qualified. You don't have the education. Like I literally would have been making $12,000 more a year was, you know, pretty big to a single mom.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And he says, you just don't have the education. You know, maybe you should go back to school. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Maybe I should. And I have not stopped.
Yeah.
So those are my two, like, all right, one, I'm doing this for myself, doing this for my kids, I'm doing this for my family, you know, and I'm doing it to prove a point. Probably not the best reasons to prove a point to somebody else that didn't really care, but the second one was that I think that was an eye opener. Say, you know what? I'm gonna always have to work harder.
Yeah.
I don't care if I know that I knew that job like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
I don't care. That didn't matter.
No.
So I'm gonna always have to be not just one time better. I'm gonna be 2 times better.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I didn't stop. I didn't stop.
That's awesome. I know you said to prove a point to someone who doesn't care, but really it's probably more to prove a point to yourself.
To myself, right.
Because of what they said, you know,
Yeah.
and because of them, but it was really because of the damage that they had done to you.
That I allowed them to do to me.
Yes.
That I allowed them. Yeah, because I didn't have to hear that. I didn't have to absorb it. I didn't have to like consume it or digest it and ruminate on it and continue to like adopt it in my spirit. Like I didn't have to do that, but I allowed that. You're right.
Yeah. But now look at you. I mean, you don't need to have anything on your resume because you got your own practice now.
Yes. This is true.
Oh man, that's amazing. How in the world? So I graduated from Tulane with my bachelor's in health and wellness, and I started when I was married and piecemealed it, you know, here and there. And then when I left that toxic marriage, I plowed through and finished. Luckily, I had my mom and my sister to watch the kids on nights and weekends when I would go to school because I was working full time. But that's hard, and that was a bachelor's. How in the world did you do all that you did with kids?
Look, honestly, I've got some really, really, really great friends. They were involved in different activities. So we had, you know, baseball, football coaches that would pick up kids and drop them off. I'd be like, hey, look, I got class tonight. Don't worry about it. We got them. You know, at the time I was in a church and people would, you know, we got them. Drop those babies off over here. We don't worry about it. We're gonna feed them, and you know. So, I'm not even sure if people still do things like that. I don't have little kids anymore. All my kids are adults. But it was so amazing that when people would see me, or I would say, you know, do you know somebody that can keep, you know, kids at night? Or I would get, I know there's a couple times later on, like I think my public health degree, like I got a little bit of money back, and so I hired a nanny. And so she would come in on the nights that I would have class, and I'd pay her, you know, to cook dinner, to clean, do laundry, like things like that. Like, but I tried to think smart about the money, the little bit of money that I had. I was like, okay, so how can I maximize this in order for us to, you know, be able to like move forward in life? Like, and I know I always tell my kids, so it's like, guys, just hang on. I promise life's gonna be better. Just hang on. Like, and that was always my motivation. Like, you know what, I made a promise to my kids. Like, I said life's gonna be better. Now let me tell you, it was shaky sometimes. I was like, all right, higher power, when will life be better? Because I don't see it right now, and I'm getting a little tired. I'm tired of writing papers. I'm tired of staying up late. I'm exhausted. My body's tired. Like, I'm tired of critically thinking. Like, I'm tired of pressing through. Like, when is it going to get better? So many times I'd ask that question. But my kids, like, I convinced my children, like, all right, mama's doing this for us, and it's going to be better soon. So, so that was kind of like, and even with my last daughter, she's 18 now. I decided when she was 14 that I was going to take her to school and homeschool her. On top of everything else that I'm doing, okay? I took her out of school. I homeschooled her. But again, this is where like some amazing friends, she was dancing, and where I live is like high security. And so they were like, if you homeschool her during the day, she could do that virtual, but she was 14, so she'd be home doing her virtual learning, do about half a day. They would come and pick her up, and so she would be at the dance studio for the rest of the day until I went to school work, picked her up. Like, they would feed the child. They would, but that was one of the best experiences, I feel like, for her, because she got a chance to be in a very cultural environment. It was homeschool was different for her. She graduated when she was 15, 16. She just turned 16, so she graduated from high school when she was 16. And so in May, she graduates with a 2-year degree at 18.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we homeschool. I was working. Again, another great tribe of people that were in my life. Don't worry about her. You got class. You need to write a paper. You got to study. We got her. Just, and not trying to pawn my kids off on anybody, but there were just people that just were absolute, honestly, angels that really helped us out in life.
It does. Like, that saying is so true. And when I was younger, I grew up in Biloxi and I wanted nothing but to get away from here. I went to Loyola right after high school and did not do well being a small fish in a big pond, and ended up back home and hated it, miserable, mad at the world, mad at myself. And now here I am, 39 with 3 kids. Well, I'll be 39 this month with 3 kids, and can't even imagine living anywhere else because you're able to cultivate a village when you have roots somewhere, and you truly can't even put a price on it. Like, even if you had the finances to be able to hire nanny, and all of that, it still doesn't make or equate a true village. And so I think most single moms who succeed have that story of having a good support system. And it's so easy for us to say we're lucky, we're blessed that these people are in our lives, and then that's true, please don't get me wrong, that's absolutely true, but it's also speaks a lot about you as a woman, as a single mom, because you allow those people to help you. Because so often when we are strong, independent women, we tend to have that wall, and we're not serving ourselves in any way by holding that wall. And it takes a little bit of strength to allow people to help you. And that may sound silly to some people, but it does, because that's that vulnerability. And when we've been through things like you and I have been through, being vulnerable isn't that easy. And so while it's amazing to have those people in your life, it's also incredible that you were able to allow yourself to allow them to help, to seek their help, to integrate that as part of your plan for moving forward. So kudos to you for that as well.
These people became my family. Like, we still, like, how we sometimes have that, she really not my auntie, but ain't so and so. But Sarah, I still refer to several of them as Mama so and so and Papa so and so, because they became my parents, they became my kids' grandparents, they became aunts and uncles and cousins, and we still do birthdays and pool parties and church and whatever, baptisms of babies and going on. So we still continuously do those things with each other.
I would definitely encourage anyone who is wondering, how to do things if they feel alone, to really take stock of their situation and of the people around them, and step out and trust in that a little bit more.
You know what that means, girl. The eyebrow raised, yes.
I swear. But no, I have had people reach out to me and ask how do I have so many friends, and the truth is that you have to allow people to be your friends, and you can't, people, you're gonna have hurt feelings, you're gonna have and you have to learn how to move past that and try to see the people for who they really are, and allow that friendship to cultivate in order to, I also don't want this to sound like I'm saying use people for your own gain, because that's not it at all.
I totally understand. Right. But everybody, like everybody in your life is not the same level, you know. There are very few people. I think one of the questions you asked me is like, what is this something like people don't know about you? Like, I'm really an introvert.
Yeah.
I am really an introvert. I love my space. I love my time. I'm very private. Although I love being on the platform now. I can be your party girl. We can have fun, and I could be the life of the party also. But I love my private life. And there's just certain things, I just don't share with everyone. So, and I think that's healthy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to go back to allowing people to be in your space a little bit. You spoke just briefly on that, but my whole clinical project so my dissertation for my doctorate was about kind of coping trauma in women and how we deal with things, and this word strong, like it can be so toxic, because what we've been taught as women over generations is strong is something that was a necessity for us to be women. That was something that validated us, like we should wear this, like some family crest or something, like that's strong. Like strong can be debilitating. Strong can also have dysfunctional ways of coping with things, like something as simple as crying. You don't cry. Crying is a natural emotion. Like you should cry.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, oh, well, I don't want my kids to know that I was crying. You should teach your children how to cry.
Absolutely.
You should teach your kids how to deal with their emotions properly. And so if that meant you were just exhausted and you were standing at the kitchen sink and you couldn't control your tears, well, guess what? That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can explain in a kid appropriate way,
Right.
this is why, like, I'm exhausted. Mommy's exhausted. I don't get a break. I'm constantly, I have to care for you guys, and I love you. And, all of those emotions that are there, you can explain that to your children to say, oh, okay. And so now they learn. We don't continue to pass this
Yes.
dysfunctional generational way of dealing with emotions. We don't pass that on to our children, especially our boys, that they're told so many times, boys don't cry. And I'm just using this as an example. Oh, suck it up, boys don't cry. That is a lie. Boys need to cry. I've got men in my life right now that are related to me that cannot express emotions, but when I look back generationally, that's what they were taught.
Mm-hmm.
Men don't cry. You suck it up. You keep it going.
Yep.
And that's not true. So just the habit of that, even if you're allowing people to be in your space, it doesn't symbolize that you are weak. It doesn't symbolize you can't handle it. It does not mean any of those things. It simply means that you are smart enough to know that at some point, in order for your life to be better, that you ask in a healthy way, hey, do you mind helping me with this?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that you owe anybody anything. You don't need to, whatever you work out in that situation, just make sure that that place is healthy.
Right.
So that was one of the things that I learned along the way. Like, because I was taught, like, as a Black woman, like, you need to be strong. Like, generationally, we just carrying all of this along the way, and you should continue to carry it. Well, my hands are full. my back is hurting. I mean, I'm just talking in an emotional, metaphoric way, but like I
Yeah.
got too many physical things going on with me, you know, I can't carry anymore. And so getting to that place to say, I can't carry anymore. I'm gonna need some help. I need some good-hearted people to help you along the way and help push you up the hill.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I wanted to expound on that a little bit. So.
I mean, that's excellent. Another thing I've come to realize is that how beneficial it is for our children to have exposure to other people as well. Obviously, the right kind of people, but different points of views are what make you an open-minded individual. And so, if if you hold your kids too close and you don't share them with people who could help you, then they are also missing out. So it's not just you, but it's
Right.
your kids too. They benefit from hearing different types of conversations and different even opinions on certain things. I have certain strong opinions, and one of my best friends has a little bit of a different opinion, and it's good for the kids to kind of hear that difference, just so that they can kind of make their own decision in the end.
And girl, you could be saying the same thing. You could say the exact same words to your kids, and your girlfriend could come along and say the same exact. You're like, I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
And so your kid's like, oh, mom, guess what so and so said?
Yeah.
I think what I did. You're like, what did I say? Like they can hear it better from someone else. One of the things when our daughter was dancing, we would switch kids because I would get into it with my, I'm like, no, this is what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. And so we'd clash backstage, switching costumes. And so what we did as moms, as backstage dance moms, we would switch. We would switch kids, which was so much better. Like, she's not going to fight with Angie because Angie's the nice one. And mom's not, or whatever. So yeah, that was one of the things I learned, just as you said. I'm sorry, something in my tongue here. Just as that was one of the things I learned, like exposing them to different things is so very important, and to different people. They can, I don't know, children sometimes can hear better when it comes from somebody else sometimes.
Well, we have a block up, I think, when it comes to parents. And, you look back and, when you don't see things the way, having kids changes how you see things from.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes.
So, it's that whole, I hope you have a kid just like you curse.
Yeah.
You said something at the beginning about how you would tell the kids, it's not always going to be like this. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there, and that's something I tell my kids. This is the first year. Well, 2020 was the first year that I did my life and wellness coaching full time, and it's going well, but it's not going as well as I would like, and there's a couple of factors. I mean, COVID is obviously likely a factor, but but then just being a new business, it's just part of that. And so, until recently, I've always known that this is my destiny. This is what I'm meant to be doing. And then recently, I've started to question it, and just feeling down on some days. And so, but then I've managed to kind of get out of that, but I allow myself to feel the feelings and process it. But I'm a big meditator, a big journaler, and I have had kind of some epiphanies through that, where like recently, one of them was that I'm trying too hard to please everybody with my packages or with what I'm doing. And I didn't realize I was doing that until like I was meditating, and I was like, oh wow, like that's telling. And so what, you said that you had times where you felt like, okay, like when's it gonna get here? How did you push through and get through those kinds of situations?
It was the little victories. And so that's when I really had to start looking at it. So I'm looking at the overall big picture. when does, I think one of our biggest things is as single parents is when do finances get better?
Yeah.
When, if finances are better, then my mood is better. And then if my mood is better, then, our surrounding and environment is better. But that's when I look back on like theory, that's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, kind of that bottom pyramid, the bottom piece of that pyramid for us to move to the next level. But I had to look at like small victories. And not just victories where I was winning, like victories where I lost some things too. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so if I lost some friends, if I lost some material stuff, like what lesson did I learn from that? Like, how does that prepare me for the next step that I'm going to? And the things that I had, not concentrating so much on the stuff that I didn't have, getting to the ultimate level, it was, okay, so what do I have right now that I can put in perspective of where I'm going to the next goal? And so the next goal my goal wasn't really ever to like own a private practice. My goal was just like, I just need to go to school and have an education and get a job somewhere. Like, so life could be better. Like, private practice didn't come into play until probably 2011, 12, maybe. Yeah. And I would just kind of vaguely talk about it.
Yeah.
Had a meeting with some friends. All of us, we were talking about kind of going in private practice together. And that fell like it was a year later after that meeting that I finally started thinking, okay, private practice might not be a bad idea, but I am scared to death.
I bet.
I am scared to death about owning. I don't know. As I said, you're like, I don't know nothing about birthing no babies. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing about running a business. Which was why I went back to school for the Master's in Public Health Executive Administration. So I was like, okay, this will give me some insight here, maybe. So it wasn't always on the forefront. And I had to celebrate the little bitty victories. Even the loss was celebrated. Didn't feel good, but I was like, okay, so this is teaching me something. What am I supposed to learn from this? I feel like in life, if you don't learn those lessons when they come to you, you're going to keep repeating them until you learn the lesson.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big things that I took into perspective, like now in my whole, my life now and, future. So if there's a loss like that loss didn't mean you lost. A loss is never a loss. A loss is always a lesson. You got to take into perspective. What is this supposed to teach me? How is this supposed to sharpen me? It's here for a reason. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? It doesn't feel good, but you're supposed to do something with that. Mm-hmm. And shame on you if you don't do it. Shame on you. You have to almost remove your emotions away from those things that you lose or have lost in order to process, okay, this is here. What am I supposed to do with this? And I'm my faith. I don't know if I identify with a particular religion, but my faith is like in everything in creation, like plays a part in the way you live in life, and there's something that you should be taking away from everything in your surroundings. The sun shining on you today, or it's raining tomorrow, or your grass is green, or you look out and we still got blue tops on a lot of houses, and looking above and beyond that. And so you drive down the beach. What is that? Is there some purposeful something that you're supposed to gain from that? Look, every moment of life you should be able to pull something that pours back into you every day, all the time. So the little victories, that's how it's kind of like walking. It's taking a step. You put one foot on the other one, another one, another one.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's right on. That's spot on for sure. Just trying to maintain a positive attitude as much as you can. Feeling the feelings, processing them, but not getting stuck there. And then trying to find positive in things and trying to find reason or motivation or what have you is definitely key. Now
and do some constant reminders too that you are, like, positive affirmations all the time. Like I dry erase marker, I write in my mirror all the time. I got things in my mirror right now. One of them was, I'm ready for the next chapter in life. Embrace without fear or hesitation. So that's my one thing I have in my mirror right now. There are goals, and then there's accomplishments. Like, those accomplishments are written on the side to remind me. Because we could easily get around me. I'm a professional too. I'm no different than anybody else. I can get in my own head about all the stuff I don't have, and what we failed at, and how we didn't accomplish certain things. No, we got to have constant reminders. If you sticky notes and make them colorful. But I got dry erase boards all over the house. These huge sticky notes that I use on the wall at work that constantly remind us of these things. So let other people see it. Be like, oh, why do you have 11 by 14 sticky note on your wall?
Yeah, that's excellent. I love affirmations. I'm a big fan of affirmations. I think they're very underestimated in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so you are an author.
I am.
Tell us a little bit about your books.
I should have brought one up. Sorry. So I have 2 books that I've written. Power of Hope is an affirmation book. All right. And also She Is is a compilation of stories throughout my life that I'm a journaler also. A journaler? Would that be correct? I don't know. I journal. So it was just stories that I'd written throughout, probably since divorce, which was 2000. And I just kept those stories. I mean, I have several of them. I just went through and pulled some that kind of was pretty significant to me. And had an author help me place them in a book. And she is, and so that would be a word that would follow she is in the chapter. So she's determined. She, I don't know, I can't remember another chapter there. But then that would be a piece written about being determined to reach some goals or do something in life, or so there's probably, I think, about 25 of those stories in that book. But she was pretty significant, and that was, although I've been telling my story, now it's in writing. It's like, whew, all right, I'm putting it out there. There we go. It tells a lot about my struggle with anxiety and depression. And struggles through like horrible relationships, like either from abuse or psychological abuse, or just things that we go through as women, and those things that we just don't want to tell anybody. Our very close friends. Well, mine's in the book now. And I can't take it back.
It does that vulnerability thing again.
Oh my gosh. It was like, I was like, I don't know if I want to put that out there, but I did. And I've gotten some really great response about pieces that are in the book, and people saying, you know what, I identify with that. I get it. Like, being in horrible relationships and low self-esteem and not feeling like, you're good enough or ever going to be good enough. Um, those That's tough to say. And now I'm in a position as a doctor to not just identify with those things, but building some really great rapport with people that now sit on the couch that I was sitting on, not literally, but sitting on that side of the room now. Um, they have no idea how much I identify with those things. Which to me, not that you don't have to be an alcoholic to be a great alcohol counselor, but when you can identify with a patient without even saying that you can identify with them, is very powerful.
Absolutely.
In helping them overcome those lifestyle adjustments that have kind of thrown them for a loop. So that's kind of what the book was about. I wanted to be able to connect, to identify, and also just tell my story to other women. Like, I've seen those days too.
Yeah, we're vulnerable, and when we are, it doesn't just benefit us to kind of release that and let it go, but it also almost always is beneficial to someone else to be able to, oh, look, she's done this, she's gone through this, I can too, kind of thing.
Success Women Conference was one of the things too, like, where I connected to really great women. Just like, wow, some of us were like, oh, you did that, you too, and you too, and you're here, and how did you reach it? So I think being connected to other people, not just women, but other people that have persevered through some trauma to triumph, kind of.
How can people purchase your book?
You can go to my website, is www.shelia or you can also go through Rivers Psychotherapy Service. I think there's a link there to actually get to my website to purchase the book. So right now it's just on the website.
Excellent. And tell us a little bit about your practice in case anyone local is looking for a therapist.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be local. Because of telehealth, we are able to service people as long as we can, either a cash payment or verify through insurance. You can still be taken there. I've also built a program called Executive Services, where you kind of get me a little bit more one-on-one, and we build through a program that's technically built just for you. And if you need more information about that, but our office is located right off of Courthouse Road in Gulfport. All of our services can be found online. You can reach me on Psychology Today, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. What else we got out there? And also through our website. So I personally respond to all of the requests for services. And so we usually try to get back to people within 24 to 48 hours.
And you serve young people, young adults who are, struggling with some, just situation.
Any form of mental illness. We don't provide medication management, but we do have a referral service for our medication management.
So you have both, adults and young adults, which
yes, we do.
is important, because I know firsthand how hard it is to find
Yes.
good, therapist in that realm.
Mhm.
And for adults also, but especially for young adults, and with the telehealth option, that's excellent.
Yes.
Because we're certainly not the only area that has a small field in that area. So,
Okay.
okay. Well, anything else that you want to share? Did I forget anything?
I don't think you forgot anything.
And I wanted to say I'm an introvert too, so I get it. And most people are very surprised by that. But I am,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I love my time, love
yeah,
my time to myself. Like
yeah.
I can be easily tucked away. I got a kid toy that's going off over here. Where the grandkids' toy is going off. But I love to be tucked away in my time, reading a book or
Hmm.
hanging out in my hammock in the backyard or
Hmm.
like whatever. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This was one,
Thank you, girl. I appreciate it.
as I knew it would be. And if so, that once this airs, then we will put the websites that you mentioned. She is an incredible book. The other affirmation journal is also wonderful. I
Power
highly
of hope. Mhm.
recommend both. And so, it's excellent, especially if you're looking um, for inspiration or for a way to kind of start. We both mentioned journaling and affirmations. We're both huge,
Yes.
believers in that. So it's an excellent
Mhm.
way to kind of start that process when you're not really sure where to begin. It can feel kind of overwhelming. And so thank you for that.
Hey,
And I just adore you, and I really appreciate you coming
girl,
on.
you're amazing. Thank
All
you.
right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave any comments or questions. We'll respond. And otherwise, have a great evening, everyone.
All right. You too.